Mark Balla is a member of the Condominium Authority Tribunal. He is making the following presentation in his private capacity as a mediator and arbitrator of issues beyond the jurisdiction of the tribunal. Please respect the capacity in which Mark is presenting and enjoy his presentation.
Inspired by athletes and celebrities who have taken to social media to provide updates on what's going on, the Canadian Condominium Institute has decided to try checking in with various members of our industry to see how they are impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. My name is Mark Balla. I'm a mediator and arbitrator with Ilya Associates, and I'm joined by Lindsay McNally, team leader at Malvern Condominium Property Management. How are you, Lindsay?
I'm doing okay, Mark. I'm surviving. How about you?
It's definitely been an adjustment, but I'm doing well and keeping safe and everything. Thanks for
Yeah,
asking.
it looks like you have a friend there just over your shoulder.
Maui's right there, yeah. Yeah, I try to have some fun. I know some people have been having a lot of fun with virtual backgrounds and video conferencing. I just kind of keep people on their toes by changing up my background every once in a while, putting a different jersey in the back. Not when it comes to serious stuff like mediations or arbitrations, but just in checking in with people and having meetings and things, trying to keep it a little bit fun.
Well, I did everybody a favor and cleaned up my cupboards behind me because usually they're full of a mess of things that I like to see, but not everybody else would enjoy.
And my camera is certainly very strategically placed, and there's things that you're not going to see that are around me that I don't think you'd want to see. So how has this all impacted you as a condominium manager?
So, the COVID-19 pandemic has been really difficult, I think, for condominium managers in general. We've sort of had to shift our focus from being responsible to take care of the common elements and the assets of the corporation to making sure the corporations are financially stable or maintain financial stability through this crisis. But also, there's a really big shift in focus to sanitization and communication. So, property managers, we're trained in a lot of things, but none of us are public health experts. And so we've had to spend a lot of time very quickly educating ourselves on what is required as it relates to infectious disease in condominium environments. And I know that that's been particularly stressful for a number of members of my team, as well as other property managers in the industry that I've spoken to. The other challenge is we recognize as property managers that we are essential service, that the health and safety of those in the condominium corporations we're responsible for is very important. And we recognize that we're very lucky to still have our jobs right now, and that there are so many people out in this market that are losing their jobs and are struggling through financial hardship. So it can be easy to come across as complaining about the increased stress and tax that's had on us, but we also know that it's a lot harder for others. The other challenge I think that a lot of people in the condo community or condominium management community are struggling with is making sure that we still have care for our families. There are a lot of people in the market who have young children who now aren't going to school or don't have daycare. And we're having to balance those obligations while still not putting our families at risk bringing the virus home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good point. One thing I've noticed, because I live in a condo, I'm in my condo right now, is just how many more people are around 24 hours a day in my community. And I think that it's nice that everybody has been practicing social distancing. Thanks to the City of Toronto, last week we had posters put up reminding people not to have more than 3 per elevator, which alleviated a lot of the stress of just coming and going as you go about your business, taking out your garbage, those types of activities. It's a real adjustment in all aspects of life, I find.
Yeah, and I know that CCI is trying to help those condominium communities by connecting with public health experts to try to get those information and posters out, because there really is a lack of information available in how this affects multi-residential environments. A fact sheet that talks about how we should sanitize on a regular basis common areas is helpful, but how do you maintain social distancing in this type of environment? And what about special considerations like, unfortunately, buildings that do have confirmed infections? Are there additional sanitization steps that should be taken? The other thing that I think has really changed both for condo owners and for condo managers is the limited access in face-to-face interactions that I think probably everyone took for granted in the past. We were able to come into people's units to take a look at the problems that they might be experiencing, listen to the noise, see the leak. And now for health and safety reasons, we're simply unable to do that without extra protective equipment or asking questions to make sure that everybody stays safe. And that's created definitely an interesting challenge.
So do you currently have any of your managers still on site, or are they all working from home?
So with my firm, we do have those that are tasked normally full-time on site. We do still have them in the buildings, but we have no contact within the office. So the residents of the property are not able to come in and see our staff face to face. But
Okay.
there are activities, especially in large high-rise buildings, that do need someone with boots on the ground, so to speak. And so they're still there, able to oversee staff, actually make sure that the sanitation is happening, because it's not as effective just to ask your cleaner, did you wipe down those buttons? It's another thing entirely to make sure that it's happening. Yeah.
And I suppose it's just getting the residents of these communities in the habit of, instead of stopping by the management office in person, shoot the manager an email instead.
Exactly, or pick up the phone and call, because they are still in the offices. They are available by telephone, and that's become, a tool that we've always had, but very valuable in this market. And what about you, Mark? How is it impacting your ongoing mediations and arbitrations? I imagine you had some files that were ongoing before all this hit.
Yeah, one of the first things I did, and I've been encouraging my fellow practitioners to as well, is just to waive cancellation fees at this time, because you can fully understand why somebody wouldn't be comfortable proceeding, even though we don't usually have a very large number of people participating in a mediation or an arbitration. People are just uncomfortable getting together. If there's not a reason to, then you shouldn't at this point. So there have been a number of cancellations, but also there's been a number of people who have been going online instead. Now, I've been offering online mediations and arbitrations for 4 years, so it's not something that's new to me. But some of the fellow mediators and arbitrators who are out there have been scrambling a little bit to get set up with video conferencing, or those types of ways of being able to move ahead with the mediation.
Yeah,
You
you
may
had
have heard, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, you had mentioned to me that it may not be just as simple as getting a conferencing platform and getting everybody face to face. What are the challenges in doing mediations online versus in person?
It's a very different process. Online dispute resolution, known as ODR, has been called disruptive. It's been around for years. It first came about back in the 90s when we saw the World Wide Web explode and services like Amazon took off and came into place. Disputes would arise online or from people that were far away from each other. So it would be the natural way to address it, because you couldn't really get together in person, or disputes weren't worth enough money to go to extreme costs. But it hasn't really taken off. And now it has been like this pandemic is forcing people to go online. The biggest mistake that particularly the process facilitator makes is thinking that you go to video because it's the closest thing to replicate an in-person process. But it's not the same thing as being in person. There's all kinds of differences. If you and I were together in person having a conversation, we'd be able to see more of each other than we are now. We'd be able to read into one another's nonverbal cues and actions in a way that's a little bit difficult to do through a video conference. Also, the degree of internet connectivity that somebody has, the stability of their connection, the placement of their camera, all of those things can really make a big impact in terms of how we interact over the video conference as opposed to in person. You don't know if there's anybody in the room here that you don't see. And in mediation, confidentiality is a big thing. It's important for people to know who's around them. So one thing I found is that ODR is more than just video conferencing. There's different skills that are needed. There's different types of processes that apply. You can also have a text-based component of it. A lot of video conferencing software allows for that. The degree of comfort that participants have using technology can make a big difference. Some people in this day and age are more comfortable with text than being on camera. Some people are more comfortable with text than talking over the phone. It really changes by the individual. So I find that what they always have said about alternative dispute resolution, mediation, arbitration, is one of the advantages of these processes are that they are flexible. We need to really at this time maximize that flexibility by catering processes to the people who are participating. And somebody who is a mediator or an arbitrator who hasn't previously conducted ODR, they have the tendency at times, unfortunately, to just feel that all they need to do is sign up for a video conferencing account, but there's much more to it than that. ODR is a different process altogether than traditional in-person type processes.
Yeah, I know too, just from running electronic meetings with my clients, which is getting obviously more popular in this market, but is an option that's been available for quite some time. It can be a bit more difficult to facilitate or chair a meeting, making sure that everybody has an opportunity to speak. I find often in video or telephone conferences that it can feel a lot like you're interrupting when you want to participate. So, do you have any tricks as a mediator or tips to share with anybody about, how you can encourage that participation from everybody?
Yeah, I just feel that it's my role as the mediator specifically to be a little bit more directive in giving people their opportunity to speak. So take a little bit more control of who can speak when. One thing that I have the ability to do in my video conferencing software that most have is the ability to do things like mute people. So if there's a large number of people participating, I'd ask everybody to mute and I would direct who can speak when to give everybody an equal opportunity. One of the things that often happens in mediations involving condos is you have an uneven number of people representing each party. Consider a dispute between a unit owner and a condo board. Usually for the unit owner, they may have one or two people participate, where it wouldn't be uncommon for there to be 5 or 6 people participating on behalf of the condominium corporation, which can really lead to intimidation in person in meetings. I find that video conferencing allows there to be a little bit more of a leveling of the playing field, as long as you do manage things appropriately to give everybody a reasonable chance to speak when it's their opportunity to.
So, a silver lining, so to speak, it gives people a bit more power in their communication.
It certainly can. There are advantages and disadvantages that come with it, but that is certainly one of the advantages. Another thing that I found, and I'm not sure if you've experienced this yet, but I find that long video conferences can be much more draining than long in-person meetings. So one of the things that I've been doing increasingly is breaking up a mediation into a couple of different stages, a couple of different events. So it's not just, oh, we sign on and we talk for 4 hours straight, we take little breaks. And one of the real advantages of that you can't have with a traditional in-person process is it gives you an opportunity to do things like go and get some further information. Often in mediation, we come up with ideas that hadn't been thought about beforehand. So if a potential settlement idea arises and a party hasn't really thought about it, having a break and then going back, say, the next day or a couple of days later, gives them an opportunity to conduct some further research to see if it's a good option, gives them a chance to reflect a little bit and digest what they've heard to make more out of the opportunity to try to find a sustainable settlement.
All right, good. Now, what about preparing your environment for holding these electronic sessions? I mean, whether they're mediation or any other type of video meeting, I think we all recognize, especially in the condo market, people are in their homes, sometimes small homes, with lots of people there with them, children, animals, spouses. Do you have any tips for preparing your environment, minimizing disruptions, and really just how to deal with the interruptions when they happen?
When it comes to the formality of mediation, it can be a really important aspect because people want to be in a confidential environment. What I do is I do a test ahead of time where we just have a quick video, if we're going to do it by video conference, have a quick video conference where everybody has a chance to set themselves up, see where one another are going to be participating from, and get a sense of how it's going to work. I do find that breaking down, say, a 3-hour mediation into 2 1.5-hour meetings or 3 1-hour meetings makes it a little bit easier for people to control their environment. We also have to appreciate the fact that the situation is what it is. It's different, it's changed, and there's only so much control people have. Even as we record this, we may have people who are in our households interrupt us. I mentioned to you earlier that today particularly I've heard a lot of sirens out because there's a fire station near my house, near my condo, that just happened to have a lot of activity today. These types of things can happen. I think that we just need to be prepared for it and adaptive. When it comes to, for me, the formality of a mediation type process, I think people just need to do some advanced planning to try to avoid those things. Excuse me, and to have a plan in place in case something goes wrong. For example, if somebody loses their internet feed, we may turn out to revert to talking over the phone for a little bit, or quickly rescheduling, or finding a way to move forward. Really, that's what it is. We're in a situation where in a lot of these conflicts right now, with the courts closed except for emergency proceedings, mediation, arbitration are really the only ways that people can address their conflicts. So I think that we just have to work with what we have to try to find the best solutions for everybody, which include the best way forward in participating.
Yeah, and I think too, given everything that's going on, there's so much negativity and stress in the world that, if your cat crashes your meeting or something funny happens, your family interrupts you, it's important really just to roll with the punches and understand that we're all facing these same types of challenges. No one's alone in it. So, if your kid runs by in their underwear or your dog sticks his face in the screen, that's okay. Take a second to laugh about it. Maintain your professionalism, but it is what it is.
I especially find that outside of the formal mediation process and just checking in with people, team meetings, preparation meetings, all those types of things. It's part of the reason that I have Maui and my kid's spicy pea jersey back there, just to try to lighten things up a little bit. It doesn't have to always be so serious. As I mentioned, if I'm conducting a mediation, I'll make sure that my environment is a little bit more formal to try to promote that process, but just in terms of our daily interactions. One of the things that I've been doing, and I imagine it applies for you too, is I decided to, in a way, pick my battles. I choose the types of meetings and the types of day where I really want to have those around me be quiet, and the ones where it wouldn't be the end of the world if somebody overhears a dog bark, for example.
Yeah, I think too, it's important to encourage people. If you're on the other end of the video call and you get crashed by somebody's kid in their underwear, you need to maintain your patience, right? Um, Professionalism is what it is. We all want to maintain our professionalism at all times, and we want to run productive meetings. But life is getting in the way right now in a really big way. So just be patient with the people that you're working with, and be lighthearted about it as much as you can.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's one of the things I've actually found with just the video conferencing platform. It requires everybody to be a little bit slower in their communication, because you find very quickly as you start doing this that you can easily interrupt somebody as they're talking. So I found that everybody's slowing down a little bit in how they talk and making sure everybody has a chance to participate already bodes well to encourage participation in a way that we can't really do in person.
Yeah, there's a big learning curve as it relates to running electronic meetings. But almost everything in this pandemic is sort of a brave new world, and there's a huge learning curve in every industry: property managers, mediators, condos, whatever it is. There's been nothing of this scale in our modern society, right? The last time something like this happened was in 1918. The technology really didn't exist. We're all doing our best to adapt as the information changes and develops. So, we're all in this together.
Yeah, I agree. And it's one of the things I've actually been very grateful for in the time that this has happened, is where we are with technology. Can you imagine if we didn't have the internet? Can you imagine if we couldn't just tap to pay for our groceries at times? It makes it so much easier to stay safe and to stay connected in a time where I think that we really do need to all stay safe and stay as connected as possible.
Yeah, I feel like people don't remember a time when we didn't have Amazon and all these electronic tools, but it really wasn't that long ago. When I first started working in the condominium market, these tools didn't exist. We didn't even have email. So we've definitely come a long way in a short period of time.
Yeah, and I think all we can do is just embrace the technology that we have. As you said, be patient with people and get out there and try these things out. One thing I've done is I've reached out to a series of lawyers and self-represented parties who may be participating in mediation with other mediators and said, look, if you want, I can spend a couple of minutes just helping you get set up with Zoom, get a sense of how your camera is going to work, how you're going to look, how to turn on and off your mute button, just so you can become a little bit familiar. Until we start trying these things and getting involved in it and getting experienced in it, we're not going to know. The scariest part is taking that first step. And I think that's all we just need to encourage people to do with tolerance and patience.
Yeah, and I think boards too can take an important lesson from this about how important their role is in using these technologies for their condominium corporation. Every condo itself is unique. You have different demographics, different availability of technology to your residents, even different facilities and amenities that require different communication when closures and other information arrives. So boards have a really important role to play. Sorry, we're being interrupted. Come here.
That's all right.
You want a snack? Everybody, this is Lucas. Say hi.
Hi.
Hey.
You're going to have to go and ask your father for a snack, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So, as much as boards need to be patient, they also need to be part of the discussion in making sure that things are adapting in a way that's going to work properly for their community.
That's a really good point, to appreciate that each community is different and solutions may differ between various communities based on who comprises them and their comfort level with technology and these tools that are available to us today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks very much for taking some time to chat. Hope you stay safe. Hope Lucas gets a snack.
Thanks so much, Mark. Wash your hands, okay?
Oh, you too. Take care.
Hang in there.
This is Tanya Halleck, the president of CCI Toronto. CCI Toronto can help your condo achieve social and financial success. Thank you for listening.